Chapters 12 and 13. I wanted to protect you, Jalila, but from what? I have no photograph of you except the ID picture on your public transportation card. It also happens to be the one that appeared in the newspapers. I guess the journalists got it from your registration card at school. No journalist dared to come to our home. Uncle Ahmed was on guard in the lobby of our tower and threatened them, along with anyone whose face he didn't like, anyone who ventured beyond the mailboxes with a lawsuit. He stayed there 3 days. Maybe he slept there too. I'm sure he would still be at his post if the police hadn't told him to leave. I watched him walk away, shaking with sobs, his back stooped. Uncle Ahmed was crying in public, without shame. The neighbors shielded him from the prying eyes of the newsmongers. Eventually, I had to go out to buy groceries. I crossed the square to reach the supermarket. Most of the journalists had left after 2 days, and no one knew my face. Only once did a woman approach me, as if by accident. She was slim and pretty, with blonde hair. "Excuse me," she said. "Yes." My voice was almost hostile. My throat was dry. I hadn't uttered a word for days. I had only hugged Mom and fed Taib and Idris. "I don't mean to disturb you," the woman said, "but do you live in this tower?" I almost chose not to answer. The woman, probably 23, 25 at most, a news intern maybe, turned red. I cashed in on my advantage and shot her my darkest look. My question may seem indiscreet, but you're very young, aren't you?" I nodded in spite of myself. It's about your veil. I'd like to understand why a young woman chooses to cover her hair as you do." I am almost certain that her question was personal, naive, and personal. I smiled, or rather, I managed a grimace that could be mistaken for a half smile. "It's not a veil, it's a headscarf." And as I turned on my heels, paying no more attention to her, I was filled with a strange feeling of satisfaction. When I returned from the supermarket, a bag in each hand, the woman was interviewing some kids who were playing outside. From the mischievous looks on their faces, they were having fun telling her horrible stories about the projects. They've been doing that ever since the journalists began taking an interest in them. I guess the newsmongers have nothing better to jot down on their pads. The woman glanced at me out of the corner of her eye and quickly bent over her notebook as if to reread some of her very important scribbles. I smile inwardly. "Do you remember, Jalila? It's not a veil, it's a headscarf. Do you remember? Your ID photo is pinned on the wall above my desk. Your gaze is on me all the time. In our family, we don't click away with the camera at children from birth through adolescence, from the first steps to each birthday or the vacation on the beach and all the rest. Anyway, we never vacationed at the beach, and Dad never owned a camera. Uncle Ahmed has one, but he uses it only in Algeria. So I don't have any other photos of you, but I do not need one. When you were 4 years old, Mom put your hair in pigtails. The barrettes you liked best were sequined plastic butterflies. When we went shopping, we each held one of Mom's hands, and whenever she stopped to look at a dress we didn't like, we would run off and dart between the racks and play hide and seek in the fitting rooms. Do you remember the day you lifted a curtain and a woman screamed because she was wearing only her bra? Or was I the one who lifted the curtain? We ran off quick as lightning. Mom caught up with us. She hadn't seen anything, but she had no trouble guessing what had happened. The other shoppers and the saleswoman threw her a nasty look that clearly said, "Watch your kids." Mom dragged us outside, her head down. She didn't scold us. She was too ashamed of herself to do that. I don't remember our mother ever raising her voice. She was too self-conscious, with some sort of inferiority complex she'd managed to convince herself was real. But we weren't sorry for her. We were only 6 and 7 years old, and we didn't have a worry in the world. Not like our mom. We dreamt of a life that we would build, a life in which no one would step on our feet, in which we would walk with heads raised. The world had better watch out. We had our whole lives in front of us. Jalila, I wanted to protect you, but from what? I did not recognize the enemy. I wanted to protect you, but I let vicious people attack you. I let Majid and his gang hurt you. I was too sure of myself. I wanted to protect you. I did not understand. I was so sure I was right. And if I was right, you had to be wrong. Enemy sisters. I didn't want it to be that way. But the only way to be close to you again was to put you on the right path. I thought you were lying to yourself, that you were betraying your family, your roots, your God, and out of boldness. I was your big sister, and I was going to bring you gently back to reason. God, forgive me. Arrogance is a sin. I wanted to protect you. You are dead. Jalila. Chapter 13. Jalila is the one to make peace. She can't stand being on bad terms with me. She comes and sits beside me on my bed and puts her head on my shoulder. Her hair is silky, except for the blonde strand, which is a little rougher. I stroke it. If wearing a headscarf is important to you, Sohan, she murmurs, you should do it. After a while, she adds, you know, you're going to run into trouble. Head coverings are forbidden at school. I gesture dismissively. You can't forbid people to be who they are and to think what they think, I say. I don't want to convert anyone. I just want to be me. Jalila snuggles closer. When we were little, we sometimes slept in the same bed. I always loved her smell and the warmth of her skin. Do you remember, Jalila, when you wanted to be a princess? She laughs noiselessly. Nothing has changed. I still want to be a princess. You'll see, one day a prince will come and take me away. He'll have a white horse and garments of light. I finish for her. Yes, exactly. Garments of light. Jalila always loved this expression. We discovered it in one of the stories I read to her. She always wanted me to read her stories, so I used to go to the small library in the neighborhood and choose picture books with beautiful illustrations. And he'll whisk me off on his horse, and I'll have a beautiful white dress as light as snowflakes. Jalila, my sister smiles. What, you think I'm too old? I shrug. And you, Jalila declares, you wanted to be a scientist. After you read the biography of Marie Curie, you wanted to find a vaccine that would save the world. It takes her no more than 30 seconds to get undressed. She keeps on her t-shirt, her underwear, and as usual, her socks. She hates having cold feet. She lies down and tucks herself in under my comforter. I quickly remove my bra, put on the t-shirt that I wear at night, get rid of my jeans, and lie down next to her. This is how I find you again, little sister. It's just as if you were never lost. It's been a long time since we went to visit Hana Layla, Jalila whispers. I close my eyes. True. We could go there after school tomorrow. What time are you done? At 4. Cool. I finish at 3.
Anthony Garcia, please come to the office. Anthony Garcia, please come to the office.
Cool. I finish at 3. I could wait for you at the Green Handkerchief. The Green Handkerchief is the closest cafe to school. It's a convenient meeting place for Racine students. Okay. I hesitate before asking. You don't have anything to do after school tomorrow? Jalila shakes her head. No, nothing. We'll meet at the Hanky and go to Hannah's, okay? Sure. I can't help thinking that Jalila has found herself a bodyguard. There's no way Majid and the others will dare approach her if we are together.
Leisha Alarcon, please come to the office. Leisha Alarcon, please come to the office.
Jalila has fallen asleep beside me. Her breath is steady. She even snores lightly. When I wake up in the morning, she is already out of bed. Her hair is tousled, but she's dressed. She shoves her books and notebooks into her school bag. She yawns as I rub my eyes. Don't bother asking me if I fell off the bed, she grumbles, because I did, you space hog. My alarm clock indicates 6:54. Usually Jalila stays in bed as long as possible. I pick my pillow up from the ground. It probably fell when Jalila toppled onto the floor. You haven't changed your mind, have you? She asks. I frown. Changed my mind about what? About the veil. Not the veil, Jalila, the headscarf. What's the difference? The difference is in the word. I don't want to wear a veil to hide myself from others' eyes. From men, you mean? Well, if you want to put it that way, it doesn't matter. I'm not ashamed to be a woman. All I want is to show my beliefs. I want them recognized. They're a part of me. Okay. So what are you going to cover your head with then? I hadn't thought about it. Not with one of Mom's old things, I hope. I don't know. Here, use this. Jalila throws a silky and colorful scarf on the bed, one she bought at the flea market last summer. I feel like bursting out laughing. I can't wear that, I tell her. My sister's shoulders collapse. I know. I think I have what I need. I get dressed and open a dresser drawer. I have the two top drawers, my sister the bottom two. I take out a square off-white cotton scarf. At least it's not black, Jalila mumbles. I go over to the tiny mirror hanging between the two posters on Jalila's wall. I fold the square in half before I put it on my hair. It's not very large. I'll have to find something better. I decide to go to the supermarket after school. Meanwhile, I tie the scarf under my chin, trying to cover my neck as much as possible. Obviously, it will not stay in place like this for long. Jalila, can you hand me the hairpins on my desk? I ask. You know, it's not that ugly, she answers. I turn and face my sister. She has put the colorful scarf that she offered to lend me on her head. It's tied up nicely, and she's making faces as she tries to see herself in the mirror. One good thing is that if you wake up with a pimple on your forehead or neck, it won't show with us. Jalila. She shrugs, removes her scarf, and hands me the hairpins. Of course, better not to have a pimple on the tip of your nose, unless you live in Afghanistan. I attach my scarf with 3 hairpins. I am almost pleased with the result. Strangely enough, I have the feeling Jalila is afraid. Of what, I wonder? Why should she be more afraid for me than I am for her when she wears a t-shirt that exposes her navel? Don't you feel weird? She asks. Absolutely not. I feel relieved. The image the mirror reflects is, at last, the one I have of myself. Hurry up, Jay. We're going to be late, I say. It has been forever since I've called my sister Jay. It is past 7:30. We'd better hurry. I won't bother with breakfast this morning either. Wait! Jalila is putting on makeup. Always the same lines of kohl, one under each eye, another fine one on her eyelids, mascara, and a bit of gloss on her lips. Then she brushes her hair vigorously. I have to untangle my hair since I'm not hiding it, she tells me. No comment. I grab my book bag and open the door of our room. I hear Dad's electric razor from the bathroom. Mom is giving Taib and Idris their breakfast in the kitchen. I walk in. You're pretty, Sohan, Idris says. Taib shakes his head. I don't like it. As soon as Idris voices an opinion, Taib says the opposite. Mom looks at me with a strange spark in her eyes. Is she surprised? I don't think so. Is she proud? Maybe a little. It's hard to tell. I've never seen Mom wear a headscarf. Suddenly, I wonder why, but I don't dare ask. You look very nice, Sohan, she says. Thanks, Mom. We have to go or we'll be late. Morning, Mom, Jalila says, walking in behind me. Quickly, she kisses Mom's cheek, then grabs a piece of buttered toast from the table. Hey, that's not yours, Idris shouts. It's mine now, Jalila answers. You're lovely, too, Mom says as she pats my sister's cheek. Go now, be good. We take the stairs 4 at a time and run across the lawn of the square. The bus is there, and we jump on. Jalila sits next to me. We put our bags on the floor and prop our knees under the glass partition. The landscape goes by. Towers, parking lots, kids riding their bikes on sidewalks. Karine and Estelle board the bus. Jalila waves to them but doesn't get up. She stays seated beside me. She even turns to me. What's your first class? She asks. French. Oh, okay. You? What a strange way to talk to each other. It feels awkward, self-conscious, artificial. Have we gotten totally out of the habit of speaking to each other in public? History with that stupid guy. Oh, you mean Ducasse. I always thought he was funny. School. We get off the bus side by side. Jalila leans toward me and gives me a kiss on the cheek. Don't forget, we're meeting up at the hanky this afternoon. No, I won't. See you at 4 o'clock. Yep, at 4. Jalila walks off. This morning, I get the feeling she wants to make a declaration to the whole world. This is my sister. This girl with a scarf on her head is my sister.